Make Japan cool again. Hi, I am your host, Michihiro Matsumoto. Return of Sherlock Holmes. 疲れてしまってべかんたにして。Japanisch, Englisch sprechen, aber Französisch und Deutsch kann ich nicht sprechen. Wait a minute. Back to English language. Today we're going to have another round of debate with Dr. Watson, my colleague.
Yes.
And some of the Japanese value systems. We're going to go further into digital versus analog business practices now. If you've been in Europe and England or America, Canada for that matter, you must be bewildered by the Japanese analog practices of exchanging personal seals, known as Hanko. What is Hanko, by the way?
Hanko is, as you said, it's a seal. Kind of like in the medieval times when the king would sign his letter with this waxed seal.
Mm-hmm.
It's used in Japan still today for both personal and business uses.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get a package delivered, then you have a Hanko that you would sign for. Instead of doing your signature, you do the Hanko. Inside a business, whenever there's paperwork, you have to sign with the Hanko.
Give me some of your embarrassing experiences dealing with Hanko. Does that bother you?
So embarrassing experience. I once forced someone to fill out their marriage certificate 3 different times because I cannot use a Hanko very well. Because it's really difficult because you use the ink, and if you move it too much, then it gets very smudged and you can't read the seal. So I never really used a Hanko. So I was a witness to a friend's marriage, and they have the certificate, and you have to sign with a Hanko. And I had to do it like 3 different times. So they had to fill out this certificate 3 different times.
That bothers you?
Yeah, it was embarrassing. Yeah.
On the flip side, when I worked for the Japanese trading company Shosha, I went through a lot of what you might call circular decision-making system, called ringi system. Everyone has to put the Hanko.
Yes.
And then you can see something, you put the Hanko upside down, right here, at the corner of this, showing he's not very happy with the decision that has already been made. So everyone gets a message. Oh, he says yes, unwittingly. It was a psychological game we were playing in Japan. Hanko works a great deal. If you put your name, signature on it, everyone gets struck.
Yeah.
But here, Hanko, the way you put it, turn it down at the bottom of this. Oh, this guy is not very happy. Or tatemae, yes. Honne, no. Everyone gets a message of it. The signature, who cares? So they're still playing a psychological game. That bothers you.
Yeah, but it helps me to understand some things because I have, on accident, done the seal upside down, and I get weird looks. So maybe they think I'm messaging something to them. I don't know which way to do that.
What are those psychological games everyone plays in Japan?
You can do it digitally.
But the economist says that the Hanko is a typical Japanese analog business practice.
Yes.
One-on-one dealing. Here it says Japan Inc. goes digital. Let's get us back to the earlier discussion on digital analog. Japanese still remains analog culture. But the economist says about time. Headlines are about time. Botsu. About time we had the change of heart.
Yeah.
So you're on the side of the native, it's going to go away.
Yeah.
Everyone is talking about it. What makes you think it's going to go away?
It's, as you said, it's old-fashioned.
Old-fashioned.
And we live in a digital world. It's an analog relic that serves no purpose. And I see it as being an impediment. It slows everything down.
It seems to me that it's attachment culture. You got to the feeling attached to the person you're dealing with, using a Hanko, one-on-one, looking each other in the eye. That works to some extent. But it's your argument, if I'm allowed to put it, sum up, it's not efficient anyway.
No.
In the digital age, So here it says Japan is a developing country in terms of IT. And therefore, the reason for the rapid exchange away from the Hanko culture. Because your culture is a detachment culture, not attachment culture. Interesting, you hug each other, but in Japan nobody hugs.
No.
But everyone said Japan is non-touching culture. America not touching culture. But in Japan, don't touch. Don't touch. Doesn't that surprise you?
Yes.
First.
Yes.
Now you're getting used to it.
Yeah.
But when it comes to business deal, why Hanko? Why it bothers you? Because everyone said the clerk in the bank, your CEO Hanko is not registered. Toroku. It's not registered. You have to get your personal seal registered at the local office, the city office. That bothers you, yes.
Yeah. I mean, to even get a bank account, you have to have a Hanko.
But Hanko has to be proven.
Yeah.
That it's legitimate.
Which you have to pay more money. It's a government scheme to get your money. That's all it is. It's a tax.
Scam.
Yes.
Government scam. Feeding scam. Feeding, can I say, short change sometimes, The feeding of short change is prevalent among Japanese business people. The why economists, since we're having a debate, not criticize each other, nothing personal. But on the side of the negative, traditional Japanese think to hang on to the traditional practice of the Hanko-oriented business deal. Why? Because Japanese still believe in touchy-feely relationship in tiny little business deals. And they're looking you in the eyes, yes, looking at you. CEO is a great deal. And it is very efficient. You say it is not efficient. I say it's effective because it is long-term relationship.
Okay.
Why? Because if you get your CO registered at the local city office, it's your personal record, knowing that you have no criminal record. But if it's a signature, who cares? As long as you pay. But here, we tend to put more attachment to your personal history. Because it is registered. Your resume, it's effective. Nobody says, where you coming from, So in that respect, the traditional Hanko culture dies hard.
Yeah.
Counter-argument.
As an American, I don't like the idea of having to register with the government. This never works well in the long term. Because
you're in digital culture. It has to be turned on or turned off.
Yeah.
A or B.
Yes.
That's where you're wrong. But the companies usually fall by the wayside. If you think in terms of yes or no, black or white, guilty or not guilty.
Yeah.
And you're going to pay the price for that. Look at the Detroit and San Francisco, California. They're losing population, losing business.
Yeah.
Partly because you think in terms of black or white, good or bad, good or evil.
Yeah, that's true. I'll agree with that.
So why don't you try to turn your system around to the Hanko culture? I'm like the devil's advocate, I'm getting sick and tired of this. For the sake of arguments.
Oh, that would never work.
Never work.
I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of people who would like the idea of doing that. But I think the biggest problem with doing the Hanko system, I mean, if you could do the Hanko system digitally, if there was some way of being able to do it digitally, that would work. But an analog Hanko would be a problem because it's not eco-friendly. There's too much paperwork. And a lot of people would complain about that. Just the fact that it's not eco-friendly. So a digital Hanko, I think, would work.
But in America, most companies, by and large, won't work. This system works.
Yeah.
And by the time, turn on your argument around in Japan, where the 99% of the businesses in Japan, to be all firms around Japan are small and medium sized. You can't force them to sign. Everyone grew up with the Hanko's personal seals. And you go, stop that, freeze! They'll be frozen. Wait a minute, this isn't America. So it happens all the time. So if your argument remains valid in the sense that it's not efficient, it doesn't work anymore, and then what if, let me think like a Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes. And if supposing you're right, following a line of argument, and Japanese is behind, yes. But your argument is a threat to the culture of Japanese businesses, like a Shibusawa Aichi, Matsushita Konosuke, and you have to befriend other guys. And there was an argument about Analects and abacus. Have you heard that?
Analects and abacus, yes.
Analects is a very popular book in Japan, written by Shibusawa Aichi. He says, Analects, Confucian teachings, thou shalt not. And abacus, Soroban, pragmatic calculation. Always think in terms of does it pay or does it work? Always a pragmatic consideration, which is such an alien concept in our culture. Always think in terms of yes or no, black or white, why because. So you're not going to turn our country into an American sort of business practices. Japanese think in terms of and analects, rongo to soroban, analects and abacus. I recommend that you read this book. It's a very fascinating concept. The Chinese classical scholar, based on his Confucius teachings, Confucian teachings, Confucianism. It doesn't seem to work unless you're under Tokugawa shogunates. All of a sudden, does it work? Without paying any attention to the traditional thinkings and Japanese emotional aestheticism called bi-ishiki. Forget about it. Just think, calculate, and they can have it both ways. The British said, why and? They all think in terms of A or B, analects or abacus, Chinese or Japanese. And that's Japanese culture. So in that respect, I give you a lot of what you already said. It's not efficient, it doesn't work in Japan, but it takes a Japanese wisdom to combine this, have it both ways, pragmatic consideration and idealism. So in that respect, Shibusawa H's theory of practice works. Don't forget about the Hanko culture. And Matsushita Gonosuke also says the same thing. Don't forget about the past. And his theory is based on the wisdom of water. Water permeates and mixes with any different foreign culture. It's a marvelous concept. And he is not on top of the National Panasonic. He stepped down voluntarily, and he even said, okay, you have a labor unions. I can be the head of the labor union for our company. That's Japanese business practices. Personal relationships, huge Panasonics, management and labor are friends. Management and labor in America, the management or labor.
Yes.
So it takes a guy like Samuel Gompert who drifted into town in America and played the manager off against labor.
Yes.
And they profit from both. You know, it never happens in Japan. So the Hanko is not going to go away.
It should.
So, you have any counter argument? But the point is, Michael.
Yes.
Why it works? Because in Japan, the shinyo, mark my words, shinyo. Shinyo means a long-term relationship, long-term trust. Hanko, you put the Hanko on it, it's written. It's not going to go away. Because the history, your personal history, everything in it, in that respect. I'm printed and stuff like that. Sometimes it bothers me. This morning, your Hanko is not registered. Hey, come on, not again. But here, debating with you, Michael, and it's not going to go away. It dies hard. So, any additional comments?
I think the further we move forward in the future, everything is going to speed up exponentially. The development, the growth of everything. Business is going to have to move at a much faster pace. And Japanese businesses aren't moving fast enough. I just think, I look at 4K, 8K, HD television. HD was basically invented in Japan, but it was the last country in the world to switch from analog to digital. So Japan, there's a lot of great innovation coming out of Japan, but business moves too slow to implement and to take advantage of that innovation.
You're talking about the difference between snails and slugs. Sluggish, but the snails are much slower than slugs. And you use the word exponentially speaking. The growth is exponential like this, like the growth of computer industry. But the Japanese Hanko culture goes like this. And exponentially goes up. So you can't catch up with the trend. So I think your argument is a valid, excellent argument. Now, about the future of the Japanese business practices, why everyone is getting engaged, interested in Konosuke's business tycoon and the Shibusawa H. Why economists picked up the topic pragmatism versus idealism. Are there ways and means of having it both ways? Efficient versus effectiveness. Efficiency, if you seek efficiency, folks, you're trying to please the management and members of the corporate family. But if you stick to the stakeholder, x-axis, the even culture. It's an art culture. Win or lose. Here is everyone is winner. What says I'm okay, you're okay. Therefore, they shake hands. Right? Here, X on X axis. We are okay. Therefore, I'm okay. That's a union culture like this. It's a village culture, small country town. Inaka, small country town. Repeat after Inaka, small country town versus a big city people. Entirely different. But here, let's talk honestly after the debate is over. Now, what's going to happen to Japan and the United States?
So I think in terms of what you're saying, it reminds me, there's an old saying that nobody gets fired for buying IBM. So in the 80s and the 90s, everyone at the companies always, they just bought IBM because IBM was the name. It had nothing to do with whether they were the best computers, but you bought IBM because you're buying the best. So yeah, there is that.
Well, we're getting to the point where you cannot play the game of name recognition anymore. Nobody talks about IBM these days.
No.
Particularly in Silicon Valley.
Yes.
Steve Jobs grew up scoffing and mocking IBM. You're from IBM, big guy. Putting down.
Yeah, I mean, even Apple today doesn't have the luster that it used to have. So, I mean, Apple became IBM. You buy Apple because it's Apple, but today it's not that way.
Oh, I see.
So even that, so yeah, I agree. The brand name recognition is losing.
If everything changes, change everything.
Yeah.
If everything changes, the things are changing, and stick to the Hanko culture. It's not a bad idea, Keep it there. And introducing lots of foreign ideas, That's part of the business, Running a company is running the company. It's going concern. The business term is the company has to run forever. So it's an animal. But the thing is, Michael, when you're working for an American company, your company has to make money.
Yes.
If you can't make money, you just lay off lots of people.
Yes.
But in Japan, even if the stupid guys would keep them all there, stakeholders, everyone watching this, which works better?
I don't know if one works better than the other.
You are not the crowd, huge crowd. You're an individual. And get rid of lots of dead wood, and then I'll pay you more. If you're a hatchet man, your job is to cut off those people, and then you get paid more. Which works.
It works.
But sometimes if you're at the top of the pyramid, you're going to pay the price for that. Nissan's car's gone.
Yeah.
And he's gone.
He's gone.
He came back with a big fanfare, Everyone admires him. He used the word commitment, folks. And everyone said, whoa, wow, that's a beautiful mantra. Now he's gone. Why? Why he fails?
I don't know.
Once he's a hero, and then turn into the anti-hero.
Yes.
Why?
Don't use the system.
Don't use the system. I don't know whether he didn't use the Hanko or so.
Yeah. Probably not.
Probably not. Why not?
It would be nice that if he was, fled because he had to use a Hanko. He's like, I don't want to use a Hanko. I'm leaving.
But who can't? If you were representing the Japanese management, how would you talk him out of it? He said to the Nissan is losing money.
Yeah.
I'm losing money. You are losing money. Yeah. So my salary remains intact. The Japanese said, how can he get away with that? It's a hubris. Harvard business people might say it's because the hubris, arrogance cost him his life. So if you were a negotiator on the part of the Japanese, would you tap him on the shoulder? Car's gone, listen, and cut your salary. Could you say that?
Yes.
How?
By saying you need to cut your salary.
Why?
If the business is losing money, and he is running the business, it's his fault that the business is losing money.
I'm a figurehead. You are working under me. You are working for me. So business law, your job, your fault.
Yeah.
The counter argument, like the cops going, hey, what is your counter argument?
I'm doing what you're telling me to do, and it doesn't work.
Doesn't work. Why it works? Because if you cut out lots of people
Yeah.
when the hard times, and when the good time is coming back, and people don't trust him anymore,
Yeah.
so they won't come back. So they keep up a stiff upper lip, and that will work much better.
Yeah.
And it's eternity, long-term commitment. That's the CEO folks in Japan. If you do business in Japan, think in terms of at least 3 years. That's my pet theory, 3 years. 1 week, 2 weeks, how can I trust him?
3 years. That's
Long term, that's too long?
Yeah.
Usually, I've invested my time here at least 3 years to get to know each other. In the process of it, you have go through ups and downs and turns and twists, and yet you're getting the picture. They're getting the large picture instead of the individual picture. So let me sum up. With respect to the future of Hanko, Hanko is going to have a hard time beating, but in the future, perhaps Hanko might die, might not die, but it dies hard. Thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, it takes people like you to make people like us. And so keep coming back here. Musubi University, Kuzuha, Japan. See you next time.